Anushik Kishalamokwang, Anushik Kwachi Manitou, Elamiliang, Kakana Ki, Walk, Mbi, Walk, Kashung, Walk, Tindao, Anushik, 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 Anushik. And what I said in, well, first of all, I came to you in the Munsee language, the original language of these lands. And I find it interesting, there was a New York Times article I read that said there's 800 languages spoken in the New York City, Manhattan metropolitan area, which makes this the most linguistically diverse region on the planet. Until recently, as an active language, a living language, Munsee had been all but exterminated, which is a reflection of genocide. But fortunately, we've had relations, particularly in Canada, that are helping us bring the language back. I believe our first language Munsee speaker may have passed on, in this century, about 10, 20 years ago. But we're bringing the language back. So in some ways, it's a miracle that I was able to come to you in the Munsee language, the original language of these lands. And what I said was, the English translation, Anushik, thank you, Anushik. Anushik Kishalamokwang. Thank you, who created us from thought. The realization that our thoughts themselves, our desires, are real. It's not that they're not real and what we have here is real. They are real as much as we are right now. And we're here because of the prayers of our ancestors. And we've survived because of that. So sometimes things may look bleak, may look hopeless, but our dreams and our thoughts, our visions are also real. I think we need to keep that in mind. Anushik Kwachi Manitou. Thank you, oftentimes translated as great spirit. Sometimes I think the Lakota, I heard, I think it was Russell Means there, was saying that there in the plains, they sometimes translated more as great mystery. The realization that what we think and what we conceive, that there's so much more beyond that. So in some ways, that's a better translation of Kwachi Manitou. Manitou being the realization that everything that we see and touch and feel, and even that beyond that, has what we call spirit. In some ways, I think it's funny being here at this nuclear power plant, and maybe they realize it more than the general public does, but physics. Perhaps a better translation is E is equal to MC squared, where the physicists have realized the equivalence or the interrelationship between energy and matter. Matter in some respects is considered to be a certain manifestation of energy. And the physicists will tell you that everything in the universe has energy. And that everything is always moving. So however good or bad it is, it's going to change. So I think part of what we need to do is realize that and do what we can to perhaps have things move in a good direction. So Anushik Kwachi Manitou, thank you, great spirit, great energy, great mystery. Elamiliang for giving us. Kakana Ki, Mother Earth. Mbi, waters. Kashung, wind. Tindao, fire. So it's a prayer of thanks for the elements there, and just wanted to give a special thanks to the Haudenosaunee peoples there, particularly our elder here, Maria from the Seneca. Because they've also helped us. Once, and that's a tale in itself. I mean, once we were, we fought like any neighbors do, and we also had our periods of friendship. But the story of the Great Law of Peace, how they came together, it doesn't start off very good. I mean, they were involved in a civil war, maybe unlike, or maybe like what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. But they found a way to get past that and come together in what they call the Great Law of Peace, what I've heard translated as the Great Path of Peace. And they've helped us out a lot as well. I've heard that perhaps even some of our language teachers, with the prayer I just gave you, that might have some influence from the Haudenosaunee, because, and fortunately for you that want to get warmed up, I didn't give the Haudenosaunee prayer because they'll go on forever, naming all the beings of creation. I'm trying to be easy on these people. So yeah, it's a prayer of thanks. You'll see that with many indigenous prayers are prayers of thanks. As far as my ancestors, I'm Ramapo on my paternal line, and I'm glad Claire and I can still be friends, because I had to tell her that my father actually worked for the Department of Defense. He didn't play a small part in it either. He was one of the top lawyers there. So he worked on these missile systems. My brother was telling me he worked on the Minuteman missile. At the same time, he was one of the most peaceful people I've met. You wouldn't know that by meeting him. I guess that's how he had to be in that era. But I remember one time when I was, it's funny how when we're children, what influences us. And I saw the cartoons and the television series. So all the important men, and they seemed to always be men at that point, they all had guns. I remember he had a badge, but I never saw his gun. And one day I asked him, I said, Dad, where's your gun? He told me he didn't have one. And that just kind of rocked my whole world. I was like, wait a second, how can you be an important man and not have a gun? And that always stuck with me from now till then till now. He gave me a different view of being a man and what it means to be strong. You didn't have to have a gun. So for me, that's one reason why I'm here too, because I realize that these nuclear weapons, these missiles, that's not what makes you strong, but what comes from inside. So yeah, I think in some ways I'm here because of obviously my mother, but also my father, my Ramapo ancestors. And also I have definitely an enormous debt to indigenous people, particularly the Dene and others there in the Southwest. I remember, I'll just leave you with this. It's funny how just a brief meeting with someone can kind of change your whole consciousness and perspective. I was in a conference with a man named Corbin Harney, who is Shoshone. He passed on about 10 years ago or so, 10, 15 years. And he got up to speak. He said, "My nation is the most bombed nation on the planet." And him getting up in years there, I thought, is a man going senile? What's going on here? And he said, "I'm Shoshone." And he's saying that's where the Nevada test site is. You had 100 above ground tests, 800 below. And he said, look, it's not that the land there is devoid of life. He said the Shoshone, the people live there, the Shoshone are there. And then again, to digress, I was in a meeting with Roberta Blackwell, a grandmother, and she was talking about the flying beings and the crawling beings, or the people. And I said to her translator, Leonard, I said, do you call these creatures people in your language? And he said, yeah, they have that concept in a language. And so yeah, like along those lines, Corbin Harney was talking about, there's other people there, not just the human people. But you have the flying people, the birds, the insects, the others. And even the trees and the stones, they have a certain integrity, essence that needs to be respected. So that really kind of changed my view of nuclear weapons and what have you, where it's not like you go over there and you're bombing someone there. We're bombing ourselves. And if we look at it that way, that kind of changes your whole perspective on what's going on. Like Fukushima. Fukushima isn't over there, it's here. We went to Massachusetts where they wanted to release the radioactive water there, and it's not over there, it's here. So on a certain fundamental level, it's all here. So I want to thank Jun-san for allowing me to express myself here and listen to the beautiful songs and sounds. And it's just, this is a great day, this is a great time. I just wanted to thank you all for being here, and on behalf of the ancestors, the Ramapo people, Chief Perry, the other chiefs, Anashik. Thank you.
Anashik, thank you.